Hey guys, I'm Will from Tested.
I'm Norm from Tested.
And I'm Frank from Tested.
Hey Frank.
Frank Ippolito.
You are going to be our master today, our sensei.
You're teaching us.
Okay.
And you guys too.
Yeah, follow along. So what we're doing, if you missed last week when we announced this, Frank is here to teach Norm and I basic sculpting lessons. We have materials.
Yes.
We told you what materials to buy. They're in the comments below if you want to go buy them and in the description below.
Some tools and
not anything, $40 worth of stuff all told probably?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, and we're going to be doing this all week. The first episode today, free on YouTube, everybody can watch that. And then the other 4 will be for Tested Premium members only. But each one will be self-contained. Yeah. So I guess
let's just get started.
Yeah, let's get into it. What do we need to start here, Frank?
Well, we all need clay, and so I took this clay and I threw it in the microwave. You can throw this whole container right in the microwave, and I put it on for about 3 minutes.
And it's okay to do that in a microwave that you make food in? Probably?
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys have food in here. And this clay is pretty hard when you start out with, but once you microwave it for a couple minutes, it gets soft.
Like 2 minutes is good?
There you go.
Give me a big poopy block of clay.
It's a little molten on the inside.
Whoa. That's not what I expected. Should I mix it up until all the,
You could just, it'll cool off.
It's burning my fingers.
So we're using a monster clay, and this is oil-based clay. It's packaged in an ovenable tray. Can you describe the difference between oil-based clay and a water-based clay?
A water-based clay will dry up and it'll crack and it'll shrink. An oil-based clay won't dry up. So you can just...
Wow, this really feels like fudge.
Yeah, if you don't finish your sculpture, you could just let it sit, and it's not, you don't have to worry about keeping it wet or anything.
Okay. And water needs to be like renewed, rejuvenated.
You don't need to do that. And this clay has a lot of wax in it, so it's real waxy feeling as opposed to like something like Chavant, where it's more clayey.
What if you have a big creek in your backyard? Can you go dig out just a big hunk of clay from the side of that, or probably frowned upon?
I suppose you could.
Okay.
Oh my God, this is kind of. There are parts of it that are gooey, like softer, and then there's parts that are harder. And just to make it consistent.
When you microwave it, the center of it's going to get a little bit more molten, but it doesn't get like super hot to where it's going to like burn the crap out of your hands. So we just.
I'm so tempted. Like, is this chocolate?
Nope. Just don't eat it.
Don't eat it, Norm. It doesn't say non-toxic. This isn't Play-Doh.
So one of the things that people need to start off with when they're sculpting is like basic forms and anatomy. And a lot of people they get clay and they want to start sculpting like a zombie or a creature or something weird. But I think that everybody needs to learn, like, it might even seem kind of boring, but basic like shape recognition and anatomy. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to each sculpt an ear. And try your best not to look at each other's ears. Okay. I want you to just sculpt from what you think an ear looks like.
I didn't think you were going to say ear there.
An ear, just off of memory, you know.
And just with our hands. So we don't, at this point, we don't even need tools.
I don't want to get into anything advanced yet. We're just going to go to the ground floor, sculpt an ear however the size you think an ear would be and what you think it would look like.
You want actual ear size, okay.
My ear is going to be so much better than Will's ear.
This isn't a competition, Norm.
It's absolutely a competition. You know, mine's going to have really...
Can you ear me?
A lot. It's going to have big lobes because that's vitality.
Is this... where are you getting this? Is this science?
No, this is a culture. The bigger the lobe, the more...
Hold on, I don't think that's true.
My grandma had big lobes. Great-grandma, she lived at 99 years old.
Do you know why old people have big lobes?
Because they're old?
No, because cartilage never stops growing. They're made of cartilage. So your nose and ears continue to grow through your entire life. Which is
That's fun.
Yeah, something to look forward to. I don't know if that's actually true. That's what my grandmother told me when I was 5, and I asked her why her earlobes were so large.
Do you pick your ears, Will? If you pick your ears a lot, you should know the form of your ear.
It's pretty much, it's itchy in there. I have dry ear holes. Do you have dry ear holes, Norm?
No, I have
very moist holes.
Moist holes.
Your holes are well lubricated?
Right.
Okay, so I don't know, like, this is weird. This is not something I've ever really thought about before.
You got to live a little outside of your comfort zone.
I understand. I'm
I'm dig into my ear hole.
It seems like it would be a lot easier to just cast this and, you know.
It would, but this is the exercise.
Okay, okay.
When I went to
Let's not show what Frank's doing because I want that to be like, him shaming us with this skill.
I think showing what Frank's doing is probably much more interesting than showing what we're doing.
No, I want to see what you guys are. I think that's more interesting than me. Because I'm not using any reference. I'm just going by what I remember an ear looks like.
The difference is you've sculpted ears, thousands at this point probably, right?
Yeah, but
God, okay. I don't know how much more I can do with this ear. It's,
Oh, I thought this was the whole hour.
No, this is just part one. Part one of the hour.
Okay, so I know there's some like
Ferengi. Mine's very Ferengi. I think I'm not looking at your faces intentionally.
I'm feeling inside my ear.
No, oh, really? You can do
That's
that?
fair game, right?
Are we allowed to use
care.
haptics?
Okay.
Like how many ridges are there?
There's a ridge. I got an A in anatomy.
Okay, hold on. That's not how ears work at all. Which side ear am I doing? I'm doing this side.
I felt much more confident about this about a minute and a half ago.
Wait, okay, ear. I'm doing this side, I think. Yep. Okay. So there's a little nub there. Okay, so that's the nub, and then it kind of. Nope, that's not how ear works at all. I'm redoing it.
There's a little triangular piece at the bottom
The nub.
of the hole.
That's the nub. That's
You want me to give you some tools to play with? Let's.
You think tools will help?
Let's
See. Well, you guys have been struggling with your fingers for a little while.
I do have fat fingers. It's well established.
So
Hold on. Okay, so that's like going down and up and around, and then it kind of curls back. Oh, that's weird.
So we introduced this last week, the tools, but these are Kemper tools. They're looping tools. So there's a loop of wire, and the top of the wire looks different shapes. That one's a little more triangular. This one has more circle. And Frank, I assume that the different shapes of the loops allow you to do different things.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use this big one.
I have a ton of tools in my kit, and as you sculpt more, you might find the need for other things.
I'm doing big shapes right now.
Do you find yourself using tools that aren't necessarily like sculpting tools?
Well, a lot of times I make my own tools, but like these tools are pretty much tools that I use really regularly, which is why I figured just pick 2 or 3 that that I'm used to using all the time. You don't need to have like 8,000 tools, and I know a lot of people's first inclination is just to go buy whatever the most pointy, dental tool is that you can find.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But finding things with like pointy little sharp ends are a lot less useful than you would think.
There aren't any straight edges in nature, right? Not many.
I don't know. Do bugs have straight edges?
Not really, even they're curved a little bit. This is a Steve Jobs quote
Oh.
when he introduced rounded windows.
God damn it! This is not easy. Not easy to use touch.
I feel like I have extra folds in wildly inappropriate places here. How many ears have you looked at in your life, Norm?
Clearly not enough.
Gonna go home from work today and say hi to your girlfriend and be like, hey, can I see your ear for a sec?
I just want to touch it.
Everybody has weird ears. Everybody has different ears too. They're evolutionarily in flux.
Ears
general
aren't
shape.
ears just as individual as fingerprints?
I don't know about
like
that.
ear shapes and stuff like that?
Wouldn't surprise me. Like you combine the folds and the depth and all that stuff, and like whether the lobes are attached or not attached. And
I think there's a lot of. I think they could be fingerprints.
Okay, I've totally screwed this up. How long do you want us to do this, Frank?
I don't know, until you guys throw in the towel.
I feel pretty good.
You?
I mean, I don't think
I felt good before, and then now I think I screwed it up.
This looks a little bit like an ear.
The general shape.
If you put it on the side of someone's head, it would not entirely look not like an ear.
That's pretty good.
Oh, it's excellent.
Mine is a.
Oh, yours is pretty good. That's really big. I mean,
It's a really big ear.
So all 3 of us hold up our ears. Is that what we're doing?
Right, yeah, are we
oh, Frank's looks like an ear. Oh, he didn't make a hole. That's the difference. And he has the shapes.
Yeah.
So 2 curves.
So I got the nub thing here, which I feel like that's a very important defining part of an ear. Also, it's weird that I did a left ear.
Mine's left.
and Frank did a right ear.
Interesting.
Well, it's like you can stick one on one side of Frank's head, and I stick mine on the other side of Frank's head, and he has 2 ears now.
Also, mine is much bigger than yours. Both of yours.
I had to keep this whole pile of clay over here is what I pulled off of my
Well,
ears.
I got my
building it.
pile of clay too.
Yours is the most ear-like. I like that you built it on a pile of clay too, instead of just nailing it to the cardboard like Norm and I did.
So, okay, so the exercise here is that, in general sense, we kind of have no idea what an ear really, really, really looks like, as much as we stare at them all day long. These are pretty, like, amateur hour ears, which is the exercise here in learning how to sculpt the right way.
Well, we spent 15 minutes
Did you just
on
squish it?
I just squished it.
You should have kept it.
I'm gonna start it again.
That's your legacy.
No.
All right, so-
always renew.
Where did I go? Okay, so this morning, before I came in here, I made a quick little silicone mold of one of the people's ears at the shop that I'm working at. And I cast up a couple of ears for you guys. And so you guys are going to use models as reference now and sculpt what you see. And the exercise here,
Wait, I want to see that one.
they're the same.
We made a cast.
There's little bubbles in it.
Okay,
it's just
okay.
because it was a quick,
Okay.
just a quick little mold. It's got a couple little bubbles. It's not
Tiny, a
perfect.
tiny ear.
It's Sam's ear.
Oh, okay. All right.
Thanks, Sam, for your ear.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks for donating
Thank
your
you,
ear.
Sam.
Okay.
So
So
there's a
we'll
lot
use
of
it as a
shapes and a
base.
lot of contours
Yep.
that you don't like off the top of your head don't recognize, and you
Yeah.
need to not think about an ear as like, oh, it's an ear and like whatever's in your head. You need to look at the shapes, look at the angles and the opposing angles of how things go together, and so now you guys have to sculpt from that model.
So,
Okay.
so when you're starting, just core mechanic stuff, because I wasn't watching you when you were doing this.
Yeah.
Do you start with a big lump of clay on whatever surface you're working on, and then build up off of that, or do you carve away? Or both?
It's both. Like
Okay.
there's additive and subtractive sculpting. I think the first thing I did was make the big wide shape of
The
the
curve.
lobe. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I just started kind of refining some of those shapes and some of the way that stuff goes.
Also sculpt flat this time on the cardboard.
Yeah.
So for people at home, find a friend maybe to have them stand still.
Or get a mirror, right? It's hard to see your ear in a mirror, I
It's
guess.
tricky. I think that there's places that you could order like little models of an ear, like reference sculpture, or
Right.
I mean even a photo really.
Yeah.
It's not the same as having a three-dimensional ear in your hand, but having really good photos of an ear. And it sounds so rudimentary, but there's such complicated shapes in an ear. And one of the other things that I've learned is don't look at the ear that way. Turn it upside down.
Oh.
Sculpt the thing upside down, because then you're not looking at it and saying, "Oh, I need to sculpt an ear."
Oh, you're not-
You're thinking of it in terms of the shapes and in terms of the forms.
You're
Oh,
not
that's a
filling
big-
in
that's
the
a nice
blanks of
pro
your
tip.
head. Yeah.
And this is all like an exercise in training your mind to think about the shapes and not think about what you're sculpting. Same thing comes in any kind of anatomy, when whether it's a nose or an eye, or everybody sculpts eyes and they're round or they're ovals or whatever but there's so many complicated shapes in an eyelid and in the way eyes are shaped, and you have to train yourself to not look at them as an eye or as an ear or a nose.
It's one of those like 10,000 hour things. If you sculpt 10,000 ears, and you can be a master at ear
the greatest
sculpting.
ear sculptor in the world.
Well, then you could do it. Then you have finally mastered it.
I mean, you guys went and you saw Mike Hill's sculptures
Yes.
in that video, and he does all these portraits in water-based clay, and he cranks those things out in like he gets the rough sculpture done in about a day, and it looks like dead on to the person. It takes him, a week or 2 weeks or whatever to really finesse the sculpture, and sometimes it takes him months, but he knows the anatomy so well and knows these shapes and forms and how they interact with each other so well that he just has to apply that information.
So do you want us to sculpt this like perfectly as?
Yeah.
Okay, as a replica.
Yep.
Okay. Not just use this as a template to do our own caricatured ear.
Nope, I want you to sculpt exactly what you see, and you could, you have it right there in front of you, so try and make it the same size.
Oh my God, the size is tough.
Well, you got tools.
I'm just gonna compress this clay.
I don't think the clay compresses.
You can squish it.
I'm gonna squish it and hide.
Use your loop tool and kind of take some away if you think. Additive and subtractive sculptures are two different things, and learning which one works best for you and learning when to do which one kind of helps.
Got some clay in my other ear.
I always kind of recommend people to copy things when they're starting.
It's something Adam says too. That's why he always was kind of offended by people who said, "Oh, I wish people were making. I'm glad people are making stuff, but I wish they weren't wasting their time with this, pop culture crap." Yeah. But his point has always been like, look, as long as you're making something, that's great because you'll learn skills making whatever it is you want to make.
Well, if you go to art school to be a fine art painter, they're going to have you learn techniques and replicate, classic masters. For a reason is that you have to learn the rules on how to do it that way first before you can run off and make it up on your own. And it's the same thing with this. I want you guys to copy something that's real and naturally occurring first, so you learn the techniques and learn how to make things shape the way your eye sees them before you move on to making stuff up.
And also the material.
And getting used to the material, for sure.
Yeah, this clay is neat. It holds form really well.
And I can learning to smooth my finger against it to smooth parts out. Well, that's a big cavity to get out. Oh.
And we'll talk a lot more about reference as all these little sculpture demos go on, but reference is really the most important thing you have when you're trying to make something. And when I've taught like seminars or little classes or stuff like that, I always try and have people pull up reference, whether it's on their phone or bring reference with themselves with them to the class, and do what they learn how to sculpt or paint or do makeup or do whatever off of something you've already seen. Like the last makeup class I did, the first lesson we did was bruises. I said, pull up some bruises on your phone and copy exactly what that bruise looks like. Because everybody's like, oh, there's a bruise. It's just a smear of purple or a smear of red or whatever.
No, there's a lot of yellow and stuff in there.
There's all kinds of things going on. And you don't really realize it until you have to completely replicate something that's already there. And it's the same with, it's just reference. Or when people show me pictures of their work, their makeups or their sculptures or whatever it is, if I don't know what it's representing or whatever, I'm always, the first question is, well, what was your reference? Let's see your reference.
Well, the back sides of these tools are really useful for shaping where your fingers can't get to.
Oh, so even think of that. You're using the ends, the wood ends.
Yep.
Oh, wait, hold on. Is this a competition? No, you should never use the wood ends, Norm.
It's absolutely a competition. This is Sculpt Off with Frank Ippolito.
I think we got to be careful. We're getting real close.
You can see a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is I'm taking little bits of clay, like little worms, and I'm just kind of placing them to kind of help build some of these shapes.
That's something I noticed when we went to visit you for Zoidberg.
And Farnsworth, too.
In Farnsworth, a lot of the sculptures and in-progress photos you sent just look like bandages of clay. It's like lots of lines on their faces.
Well, even in 3D sculpting, I've seen a lot of people's ZBrush stuff. There's a tool that just adds little tubes of clay like this.
Adds material, volume.
Yeah, and it's kind of the way you need to think about when you're adding. You don't need to just add a big glob and form it into the shape. You can just add little bits and kind of contour it, put them where you want it to go and not just kind of throw it on there and then work at it. And the other thing is that I notice a lot of people, they'll put a little ball of clay on there and then they'll spend 15 minutes sitting there smoothing it out and making it perfect. But it's that rough kind of coming together that makes the forms and makes the shapes, and it should smooth itself out and work itself out as it progresses. You don't have to put a piece of clay on there and then make sure it's perfect compared to the one next to it. It can stay rough and it just slowly becomes refined.
Yeah, I'm coming to that right now. I want to make everything smooth. Every time I make a cut, I want to smooth it out.
You gotta focus on the forms more than the detail right now.
I put way too much lobe on here, or way too much pinna, I guess. So we're gonna.
So do you need to know like anatomical terms when you're?
I'm pretty dumb with the terms a lot of times, but I have a pretty functional knowledge of anatomy as far as like where things go and how they kind of go together. But when it comes to like knowing everything's name, and I'm not real great at that.
You just have to know. You have to be familiar.
Yeah, it's the loby thing or the turny up part.
The curly Q
Yeah.
with the twist. There's a good stretch to this clay too.
Yeah, it's got a lot of elasticity. I've seen castings of like life casts of this stuff, and you can warm it up and then stretch it out and do weird stuff with it.
Oh wow!
Life cast with this stuff?
We not life cast, like if the life cast I did on you, the silicone mold. We could take this clay and melt it down and pour it in there and have a clay copy of your head.
Oh, so you're casting with clay?
Yeah. And then like if I wanted to like take that copy of your head and like open the eyes and give it an expression and make it like a decapitated head, I would take that silicone mold, the body double mold, and then pour the clay in there and then resculpt all that stuff out. Like, remember the video we did with your hand?
Yeah,
and I showed
yeah.
the Dana DeVito head?
Yes.
I had done a clay pour of Dana DeVito's head and resculpted his eyes open.
Got it.
What was the Danny DeVito? Did you just have done a bunch of work for Danny over the years?
Yeah, we had done a horror short film, and he was in it, and I needed to do a life cast of a section of his face. And I said, well, let me just do your whole head in case we use it for something else. That way you don't have to go through a couple of life casts. I'll just get it all done, and then we have it. And he hasn't made any horror movies in a couple of years, but we used it a couple of times.
I feel like they could probably use that on Always Sunny.
I'm sure it would probably be useful.
Something horrible, right?
Yeah.
Delightful.
Yeah, it was a good run for a couple of years. He was making all these like wacky horror movies and got to build all kinds of weird things.
He seems like a dude who just is in a position where he knows what he likes to do, and that's what he does.
Yeah.
Okay, that's way too much clay.
Gosh. Oh, God.
How did you get started sculpting, Frank? Is this something you just went to the art store and bought some clay when you were younger? And
Pretty much. You can go to Michael's and you could pick up a bunch of different kinds of clay too. They have like Super Sculpey and they have some water clays there and stuff like that. You could just
probably have the tools and everything you need.
usually Michael's or probably Hobby Lobby.
What's the other one? There's another one that's not like the same thing as Michael's.
Like Aaron Brothers?
Yeah, Aaron Brothers maybe.
Oh, Blick.
Claire's?
There's Blick. Art.
Claire's is cloth, I think, only. Isn't
Blick
it?
has a bunch of stuff.
Blick Art?
Yeah,
Blick
Blick.
Art, there's one in LA.
There's
They
one
sell
in the
stuff
East Bay too.
online.
There's two. I think there's one or two in the East Bay.
These places
I feel
are
like-
so fun to go in.
It's funny, Michael's for a long time I always associated with scrapbookers because it was, it was where a lot of that stuff came from. But there's always a ton of guys in Michael's when you go.
Guys can be scrapbookers too.
Maybe they just like all the year-round Christmas decorations.
It's true. If you want to get Halloween stuff in like March, you can get that at Michael's.
If you want to get Christmas stuff any time of the year, you can get that at
That
Michael's.
is also true.
Disgusting. I'm very anti-Christmas. I'm such a Scrooge.
We had a Christmas tree farm when I grew up, Frank.
So you hated Christmas?
And it wasn't the kind of farm where like we cut down a whole bunch of trees and loaded them on a truck. It was the kind where cheap people came out from the city to get their trees cheap. It was a cut your own place, but nobody ever wanted to cut their own tree.
You did it?
So guess who was the tree cutter?
Did you do it with your bare hands?
With a handsaw, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't even have a chainsaw?
We did, but I wasn't allowed to use it because I was 14. Well, 14 to 18. The chainsaw disrupts the experience of going out into the peaceful, idyllic country to cut a tree. This ridge is really tough. Like I'm having I'm having trouble getting it. You know what I need to do is jam some clay under the back here so it supports it, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to check in?
Oh, I have to do the outside too?
Should we check in to see how we're doing and get some feedback?
Yeah, sure. Whatever
That
you
seems
guys
like
want.
a good idea.
I want to go whatever you're.
What do you
Okay.
got there?
All right. I'm gonna show the camera. I'm gonna wait a few seconds
Okay.
and when we get camera's position, I can.
Just give me like 2 minutes.
Yeah, a couple minutes. I'm gonna finish up one thing, and then
Keep vamping, Norm.
I want Frank's honest opinion of what I can do to improve this.
Oh, I'll be honest. Don't you worry.
If there's anything we know about you, Frank.
Kind of hard for me to hold back.
Well, I mean, it's good. When you're doing something creative and you want to get better at it, the way you get better, whether it's writing or sculpting or whatever, at least for writing, the way you get better at writing is by having people tell you what's wrong with your work.
Yeah,
how to make it
you have
better.
to be good at taking criticism. It's got to be constructive criticism. You can't just be like, "Dude, you suck,"
Yeah.
and then move on. Like it's
Dude, Frank, you suck.
whoa,
Hey, man.
whoa.
No, but it's the difference between saying, "Hey, I think this is good, but here's places that you can improve." And I mean, giving constructive criticism is also one of the hard lessons I learned when I started out and working in print. You know, it's hard to make constructive edits. It's hard to tell someone, "Hey, this piece is complete garbage and needs to be rewritten in a way that doesn't make them want to stab you in the face." Doesn't happen very often.
What, the face stabbing?
The face stabbing, yeah. The round side of these things is good for getting little edges on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Still have too much stuff around the edges. And I'm about 20% too big.
All right, am I ready for my first pass judgment? Yeah?
I get to pass judgment on you, Norm?
Yes, you do.
This is what you've been waiting for ever since you met
know.
Norm, isn't it?
Are we ready? Okay. All right, should I spin this around or what should I do?
Oh, that looks good.
Oh, you're getting there.
Aim it at the camera, Norm.
It's getting there.
I want to see if we can do a close-up or something. I don't know. So,
Here, we
Frank-
can put it over here.
yeah, let's put it over there. Yeah, let's give Frank a. Maybe.
You wanna- Oh. I don't know where we're going now.
All right.
Cats and dogs living together.
Mass hysteria.
All right, give it to Frank.
All right, Frank. Here we go. I'll let you get up close to it and
Okay.
let's tilt it up. Ah, yes, yes, yes.
So, let's see. Let's get this right there.
Ah,
Okay.
There we go.
So now we can get
More.
this. So do you see kind of how you're getting there? You have to, it's so hard to point up here.
Uh-huh.
This shape right here is getting close.
Yep.
Your inner ridge right here,
Uh-huh. I need
like
to bulk that up.
it's not in the right spot.
Ah, I move more to
See
the
how
left.
see how you have it like way in the middle of the ear?
Right, right. It needs
And
to
it's
move.
not. It's pretty close to the edge.
Okay. Yeah, it's tough to get that outer ridge.
Let me see if I can make this a little
Oh no, I see what you
closer
mean.
to what yours is.
I see what you mean.
You know, again, you have to think about it not in terms of an ear. Like if you turn it upside down, you see how off
Oh yeah.
this shape right in here, like all this space in here is like a little bit wrong, and where this little
space.
point
Yeah.
hits, it's close. You're going in the right direction. There's just a little bit of finesse on some of the shapes and some of the forms. And the other thing is that a lot of this stuff is starting to look real pinchy.
Yes.
So soften it up. Like use some of those little clay noodles and just kind of round off some of the shapes.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna work on that.
you're going in a good direction. It might help to have the ear,
Right next to it.
you know, squished in a piece of clay like that, so it's kind of in the same position.
Okay. I had it away from me on the table.
Yeah, maybe that will help you a little bit on that too. Where
You want to see mine?
No, you can keep working, but I'm just saying, like, if you
Oh,
take...
no. We should show them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's check in
It's a
with
contest. I mean,
Captain Will.
let's not fart around here.
the... put the ear on a blob of clay.
I like my ear on a blob of clay. I don't think that one's coming off.
Damn it. I'm wrecking your old ear.
We're going to show no before and afters now.
Well,
Excuse me, I can't hear you. Where are we?
Okay, so let's see.
That's pretty good.
There we go. That's
Oh, it looks terrible from that angle. It looked much better from the angle I was looking at.
It's so confusing to get it right.
There we go.
So, there we go. That's
I
better.
spent a lot of time working on the hole.
Yeah, yours is pretty not right.
Yeah, no. It looked. I panicked about 3 minutes ago and started making major adjustments instead of going slow.
Just like with norms, though yours is a little bit more pinchy, you should probably bulk some of these shapes up and make them a little softer and smoother.
What do you mean pinchy? Just like the
Like
the
everything just
ridge
looks like you
around
just
the
took the
hole?
clay and just pinched it around.
That's exactly what I did.
If we look at it upside down in a different orientation, you can kind of see
Yeah.
what I'm talking about a little bit.
Okay.
Do you kind of see?
Oh, I see exactly. I mean, yes.
Well, it's hard to train somebody else's eye to see the difference in shapes. Like you look at something and you think that you're interpreting it.
Well, and the same thing happens when I draw, right? You end up looking at something, you get so fixated on the one thing you're working on
Yeah.
that you miss the overall shape, and you realize that you've lost the ear.
So how do
somewhere
we all started in different ways for this ear. Can you talk about how you started off your ear? Like,
Well-
you started with a small piece of clay, or did you start with a
Yeah,
big piece
I
of clay?
kind of am still.
Yeah, go ahead, steal my ear.
I didn't make 3 ears, so I have to steal Will's a little bit. So I haven't been working with an ear next to me, and that's the one I'm working on. Which
Wow.
it's not next to the ear like you guys have.
Wow, that's much better than either of our ears. But I mean, you know, I wouldn't expect otherwise.
I'm still just kind of blocking out some forms and some shapes.
So you're literally just making it's like rough shapes. It's as if you're carving out a marble or something
Yeah.
like that, rather than working with clay.
And it's bigger, so I have to make it smaller. I wish I would have cast up a 3rd ear, so I had one too.
Making.
But it's
you know.
less pinchy, and so what I can do is that I could take one of these little loop tools and I could start to like carve away at it. You know, I guess the camera that's over my shoulder can probably get once I start carving. You know, I'm building the shape up, and now I can just kind of bring it down a little bit, which is subtractive.
Right.
So where, you know, you guys are kind of pinching and building big forms, like I'm just kind of building some stuff and then slowly whittling it down into
Well,
where
the
it should
problem
be.
I had was once I ended up with too much, I was in a weird spot.
Is this my over the head one? Give me this one. There you go. So I could take these little loop tools and carve down some of these shapes and take down some of the extra material. Because now that I have an ear, or had put an ear next to it, I can see where I'm doing stuff wrong. I mean, you guys kind of have an advantage over me because you have the ears next to you, and I'm still making it up off the top
You're
of my head.
welcome to look at my ear.
Well, I am
Frank.
looking at your ear a little bit, but
Look at our actual ears.
well, no, but we're
Oh,
trying
I
to
know what
make
you meant.
we're
I
trying to
know,
make
I know.
Sam's ear
Yes,
right now.
yes.
So
Thanks again, Sam.
thanks, Sam.
So I'm taking a clean start here,
That's fine.
and I'm making the outside shape and the inside shape. Because if you look at it, it's really like two curves, right, that intersect in a weird way. Right, because there's this curve, there's the outside curve, and then
Yeah.
there's the inside curve that tucks into the outside curve.
Yeah, you can kind of break it down into shapes like that, but look at also how a lot of these shapes compound on each other, the angles that they're at.
There's yeah.
And if you think about it in a very angular kind of way, like this one is at this angle, and this is at this angle.
Ah.
Like look at like the curve of how that plane goes. It changes.
Yeah.
You know, if you think of things in a term of planes, not airplanes, but like
Yeah, a two-dimensional surface.
yeah, that'll that'll help a little bit in trying to break down the shapes.
I mean, the neat thing about this is nothing's kind of permanent.
No, well, that's again,
clever.
this is what the exercise is. It's to practice and learn how to make these shapes look right. And you know, as we move on and we do other things, the interpretation that you're learning how to do will carry on in all of those.
Gotcha.
Okay. 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 I'm a little happier now with this ear.
Here.
Oh my goodness. I'm really tempted. All I want to do is flip it upside down and see like what it looks like as an ear. But I can't. I shouldn't. That's not the exercise.
Well, you can turn it whatever way you want, like whatever way makes sense to you. The only reason I had
really
you
like this idea of doing it upside down. I'm almost like blocking it grid by grid, like when we did the Barbarella thing with Adam. Just like I'm looking at, you know, this. I'm splitting it into like 16 different grids,
Yeah.
and then trying to match those and then connect them, but doing it all at the same time.
It's really hard to get the kind of gentle curve.
Ears are super hard.
No, no, no. I know. I'm just saying, like there's a swooping kind of like the swoop around it's all just like smooth curve, and it's a three-dimensional. It's a terrifyingly complex curve.
The other thing that's really tricky, well, I mean, a lot of anatomy sculpting is tricky, but noses you would think are real easy. It's like, it's a
Two holes in a
bean
triangle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Noses are even just as complicated. It's another one of the exercises that I like to give people when people ask like, how do I start doing stuff? Sculpt a nose, sculpt an ear. Don't worry about all the rest of the face. Don't worry about tying it in. Just practice on some real basic things. You know, I like sculpting skulls a lot and skeletal anatomy. So you kind of get a good idea of how, you know, the subsurface anatomy works when you do that kind of stuff. So a lot of times it's just for fun. I'll sculpt skulls or, you know, other bones and stuff like that. Oh, on what you were just doing?
Yeah.
Try not to dig too hard with these little tiny wire tools.
Oh, okay.
Because you'll break the little wire. Like,
Oh.
If you want to dig something harder,
Get
use
the big one?
The big wire.
Okay.
Because the clay, as it cools down, it gets a little stiffer, and you'll just break your tool. But they're cheap. I mean, they're only like $3 or $4 a piece.
So it's not the end of the world.
No, and then you could super glue them together too.
I mean, Norm's really good at soldering steel, so.
There you go.
Frank, what do you think?
I think you're getting a lot closer.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think that's starting to look really good.
Let's see. Oh, that looks really good, Norm.
Ooh.
You got that inside curve real good.
Inside curve is the toughest part.
Yeah.
Like, right now, to show you guys, this inside curve here is so subtle. Everything about that curve.
Will, I think Norm's kicking your ass.
That's fine. I started over. I'm on my third year. He's only doing number 2.
It's the road to 10,000.
Besides, I'm not competing. Norm's the competitive one here.
Gotta have a goal. My goal is to sculpt the best ear.
Well, Frank's here, so you're probably
Yes.
going to lose.
Yeah, but I'm also not sculpting off of your model. I'm just kind of
That's
freestyling it. I think at Norm's rate, he's going to have the best ear.
You're not going to goad me into a competitive response here, Frank.
I'm just saying.
Probably.
How long do you give yourself to sculpt single things? Like, at what point do you say, okay, I'm done with this exercise? Because you can sculpt, you know, days for one ear.
Oh, absolutely. But that's the practice of it. Like, you know, it might take you 2 days to sculpt a perfect ear the first time, but then the next time it might take you half a day, and the next time it might take you 10 minutes. Like the more you get to know that anatomy secondhand, the faster you'll get at it. And that's the same with anything. Just practice a gajillion times. I went to school for a short amount of time for industrial design.
Yep.
And you know, the stuff we did at school was pretty good. It was all right. But then I went and visited Art Center in Pasadena once, and I was blown away by all the artwork. And I talked to one of the students, and I said, how is your guys' work just like miles above everything else at every other school that I've seen? And they said, well, how many drawings did you do a week? I said, I don't know. I think we did maybe 10, 15 drawings or whatever a week. They said, do 100, and then do that all the time. Do 100 drawings a week and see how good you get and how fast. It's the same thing. If you want to learn how to sculpt and you want to learn how to paint or how to draw or how to do ever, how many times do you do it a week? 2, 3, 4, 5?
You know, it's something that the directors of Big Hero 6, when I talked to them, they said, like, I asked them, how, if someone wants to be an animator or work at Disney, how do you do that? It's just draw nonstop. And it's not just because it's the practice. What you're practicing is an understanding of representations of the world that your brain doesn't consciously acknowledge. Oh, man. Do you reach a point, because I'm feeling I'm reaching a point where like I know it can be better and I want to make it better, but I'm really afraid that if I try to take get the extra 5%, I'm going to ruin it.
Well, there's that funny point. I don't think you're quite there to where you're going to ruin it. I think that
don't worry, there's not enough to ruin here.
Well, one of the things that I'm doing on again, I don't have the ear model in front of me because I'm an idiot and didn't cast the third one, but I'm starting to smooth out some of these forms and just start to take those refined shapes, what you have, and see how I'm using the back of the tool, and I'm just kind of like smoothing out the transitions between the forms.
Okay.
And then you can use your finger a little bit, and you could soften those shapes.
It's like the perfect.
Well, and you can also kind of pull it, like you can use the round edge at the back of the tool to kind of just pull up, like smear the clay where you want it.
Yes.
I'm using all my years of bagel, cream cheese smearing experience to evenly smear the cream cheese on butter on toast. It's all coming back.
That was way too much.
These all look like big brown lumps in the camera. I was just looking. Big brown lumpy.
Definitely a great way to spend a rainy winter day.
San Francisco, wonderful parking.
There's a lot that's not awesome about San Francisco right now. But the rain is something. Hey, did you hear we went from, what was it? We're only in extreme drought now.
It's not catastrophic?
Catastrophic, or there's another E word that meant extremely unusual, and I can't remember what it was that they had used before.
Let me steal your ear for a second.
Hey, you may absolutely steal my ear. It's not my ear, it's your ear.
Sam's ear.
Yes.
Well, it was Sam's
It's
ear,
your
now
cast,
it's yours.
yeah. You've owned it.
Yeah, we need to have a conversation about casting human body parts, and does that mean we took a bit of Sam's ear's soul?
Oh my god.
Well, we've done Norm's hand and Norm's head, so technically Norm doesn't have a soul anymore.
I mean that didn't
nothing
happen.
to steal. Sorry, dude.
Yeah, that was way before the casting.
He's a robot.
He's not a robot.
Aspiring robot.
I'm convinced he's an android.
So I saw Jamie Adams' show 2 days ago.
Yeah.
When we were in LA, and kind of admire Jamie's roboticism.
Oh, is he an android also? Do you think
He's like-
Jamie
he's like
died
the
long
best.
ago and this is just like an animatronic that he built before he died?
He's the best robot. He's my hero robot. Oh God. I'm at this like, I definitely am reaching this. I think I got it, 60% the way there, and I don't want to mess it up.
You could have said something else there, Mom. It's okay. We're on the internet.
Yeah, the internet never remembers anything. I can't wait to see the YouTube comments on this one. Am I allowed to acknowledge trolls?
Yeah, we usually just engage them and tell them to mock them. The folly of arguing with someone who controls the venue in which you're arguing is, that no matter how you do, even if you make a cogent point, I can still ban you at the end of the argument, so feel free to engage.
I like reading the YouTube comments. I grew a thick skin after being on that reality show,
Yeah.
and so I never really get.
Did they do the thing where you said two things far apart from each other and then they hooked them together so it looked like you said them at the same time?
All the time.
Yeah, that's what everybody on reality shows does.
Yeah, but that, I mean, regardless of that, it made me kind of grow a thick skin. So now all the YouTube stuff is very amusing.
Yeah.
I'll give you your ear back.
You want
in
to take a look at
second.
me? I got some lobe work to do, I know. We have a good.
Here you go, Norm. You can have your
Oh,
ear back.
thank you. Thank you. I
Sorry
was
about
missing that.
So this is the Rev 3.
That.
This
Here,
is the one that you
take it over here.
investigated before.
Can we go down this one? Oh, there.
Oh.
No. Up here.
Over the shoulder.
Up there.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, so version 3.
I feel like the inside loop that goes around the hole needs some help, and the lobe isn't quite right.
Yeah, I think that this shape right here, see how you have, it's like a real big wide,
Yeah, I
shape.
need to carve some more stuff off there, right?
there's an angle here. This is kind of straight-ish.
Okay.
So it's a curve, like a C, and then it's real straight. Like you almost have to think about this as in a triangle.
Okay.
So you think about this angle here and this angle here,
Oh, okay.
and then connect them with a curve up on top.
Got it.
So you
I'll
don't
work
have
on
that
that.
angle here. You kind of have it here, but you also have to look at it.
Well, I haven't even thought
But
about
I'm just
that
saying
yet.
you have to look at it in this way because this is a pretty straight line right here,
Yeah.
and this is like a potato chip.
So I'm gonna have to get that way
So you
up.
have to think about all of these angles, and think about them. If you think about them in terms of straight lines, like just find the straight lines in your head. Everything's got all kinds of curves and stuff, but just block it out very straight.
This is like looking for faces in everywhere you go. You're just finding the lines.
Yeah.
Okay.
So try blocking out just based on
That
very
I can do.
two-dimensional geometry.
Oh.
Now I'm just ruining it.
You're probably not.
Yeah, Norm has pretty good instincts on this stuff.
There's an old proverb about this,
Which is?
about drawing legs on a snake.
What?
I've never heard that one before. Was this something your parents told you to keep you in line when you were a youth?
Yes, when I was a youth.
Did it work?
I remember to this day.
Did you stay in line as a youth?
Look at how great he turned out.
It's true.
Eagle Scout, website dude.
Were you an Eagle Scout too, Frank?
No, I was in the Cub Scouts for a little while.
Were you a Weeblo?
Yeah.
We'll be loyal scouts.
Yep. I didn't like the conformingness.
Conformity?
Yeah, I don't like the conformity. I like kind of. I don't like authority. I guess not in an anarchistic way, but like I don't.
The structure?
Yeah, I don't like the structure. Like I'm it's kind of more, go with the flowy, which is I guess probably why I own my own business these days and not don't work
Generally
for.
don't work for other people?
I mean, I always have clients, and sometimes I'm on set for a film or something like that. Or right now I'm working for somebody else, but
Client service is harder than like working inside a corporate environment a lot of times.
I don't like corporate environment.
The difference is you set your own hours, or the client sets their own hours, sets your hours for you depending on what they want.
I would much rather work freelance than corporate environments. I don't know how people do it. I guess it's just like whatever you're used to.
Yeah, I mean, some people like to check out at the end of the day, I think, and go home and not worry about where their next paycheck's coming from.
Well, like for me in my shop, like I'll get up, in the morning, and I'll go roll into the shop, have some breakfast or whatever. Have some breakfast, roll into the shop, and I'll screw around for a little bit, and then I'll get a bunch of work done, and then I'll sit on the couch and play an iPhone game for a bit, and then I'll go back to work. Like, I'm at the shop for 15 hours at the end of the day. But I'm still probably only working, 8 hours, but it's just much more lax because I could go sit down and goof around.
And you need the break because you're doing things creative things that you can't necessarily do long stretches at a time.
Well, even the technical stuff when I'm doing like molds and stuff like that.
Yeah, you have time to kill in between.
Yeah, I got 30 minutes. Go screw around.
The Cormac McCarthy, the guy who wrote The Road and a bunch of other stuff, all the King's Horses, all the President's Horses, whatever.
No Country for Old Men.
No Country for Old Men is the other thing, that everybody knows. Said that he'd spent his entire life looking for jobs where he could trade his time for money, his work for money instead of his time for money. And I think that's the thing that separates people who are able to work in kind of a freelance mentality from people who don't do well at that. And his point was, at the end of the day, he'd rather clean chicken coops for $10 an hour, $5 an hour, whatever it was at the time, than sit in an office and have to do busy work for 40 hours a week. Because at least at the end of the time, how quickly he finished that job was on him. He was never in a situation where at the end of the day he was sitting there waiting for somebody to tell him what to do, or had to sit there because they were paying him to be in a place.
A lot of times when I work at other shops or for other people, I try and work on a flat rate or a rate for the job. There's a couple of companies that I work for down in LA that they'll call me up to come in and paint or do whatever. Like last thing I did was at this company was painting an elephant leg. He said, what do you want for rate? And I said, how about this for a flat rate, just to do it, like whatever it takes me. If I can get it in 4 hours, cool. If it takes me a day and a half,
that's fair.
Whatever.
Right?
And as long as that number is fair to him and it's what he has in the budget, that's fine. And if I can paint it to his standards in 4 hours, then I've made a lot of money in 4 hours.
Yeah.
It usually ends up taking me a full day or 2 days to do something, and
But then it's on you.
Yeah. If I want to take my time and I want to check my phone and take a long lunch, who cares? Flat rate, as long as it's done
by the time you need
for
it.
his deadline,
Yeah.
and as long as it's done on his budget, that's really the only thing that matters.
And it's your reputation.
Yeah. And I like working that way a lot. There's always going to be deadlines, and there's always going to be, client approvals. I mean, that's fine.
Oh God.
Norm.
I'm not feeling good about.
So dramatic.
I'm not feeling good about all the things I'm adding to this.
You need to start. Here,
let's do a check-in.
We'll do a little check-in. You have to put that ear next to it.
Right up to it.
Yeah, put it close.
Yeah, it started getting much easier when you glued it on the paper right next to where I was working.
So you have this angle that we're talking about. You have this angle that we're talking about. The thing that you're missing is, like right in here, like this shape right in here.
Yes.
You kind of have here, but it
needs to be deeper.
It's not that it needs to be deeper. It just needs to transition into here a little bit nicer.
Okay.
In this shape right here, like it's kind of in the right spot.
Yeah.
But like right in here, this right here, and this right here, and this is kind of a straight line.
Right.
I don't know if
I see it. I see it.
Yeah, like you kind of need to fix this arc, and then fix the transition from this curve.
That's so
to the end of the ear.
Yes. That's the most narrow.
Use the end of the tool and just kind of slowly move this stuff around. to kind of help smooth it out.
Okay.
But you're getting there.
Okay. Okay.
You know, don't look at it as an ear in a whole. Look at it, you know, just in those little, like one shape at a time, and one angle, and one curve at a time. And if you kind of, you know, once you get the blocked out form, like the general shape, that you have the blocked out form, now you just have to refine all of those specific shapes and specific curves.
Refinement. I don't know if you know us. I'm not very refined in general.
You're couth.
Refinement is not.
Yeah, I've seen your desk.
Okay.
Wow, your desk is clean.
He's
though,
cleaned
for
it
once.
recently.
This
Yeah.
is super clean. It's been clean for months.
Really?
It's been clean since we redesigned the set.
For a month. Since the live show, October 25th.
That's true.
What's your excuse, Will?
I don't ever use that desk. It's just storage.
Clearly, empty box storage.
Most of the empty boxes aren't. I don't think are mine. Those 3 are a dumb project that we're working on. And then the stuff up top is just old hard drive boxes and puppets. You know, normal stuff. Office supplies.
Supplies.
I'm not so sure about the bottom of this ear.
I see.
I feel like this part's getting pretty good. And I got your straight
Well,
lines here.
you're getting real pitchy again.
I know.
Like you need to,
Yeah,
like
just need to put more in?
just take a blob of clay.
Okay.
Like,
You can get rid of the second one.
let's move that. Get a blob of clay, stick it there. Get it on the same plane as this ear.
Okay.
You know, you see, like when I'm doing mine, I'm sculpting real flat.
But that's because you're not doing the comparison. And I also put the
Yeah, get these things, you know, get it on the deck of the cardboard. You know, so you got it there, you got it there. You know, put a big blob of clay in there and
then
you
peel
know,
it off.
instead of making it so pinchy. So that way you at least have, like, that's your ground level, so you're not sculpting up in the air.
Yeah. But yeah, the thing that keeps happening is I pull this up to get it in the right place, it keeps tearing, and then I have to fill in the back, and then,
Yeah.
you know.
You know, get a. So you got that guy right there.
I like this lesson that
See?
it can always be better.
Is that?
That looks better, yeah.
So now that you have it on the deck and you have the ears next to each other,
I
for
have no
comparison-
excuse, is what you're saying.
Well, I mean, now you can directly see left to right. You know.
About an hour.
Oh, we are an hour. Okay. So we gotta decide. We gotta figure out an end for this first project.
I mean, I think
You
we
want to
can,
give us like 5 more minutes to tweak?
yeah, do the.
I mean, yeah, everybody. I mean, you guys can probably continue working on these ears and these shapes for
Yeah, they can
hours
go
and
for
hours.
days and hours. So the lesson is taken. We do have many more lessons to go through. But
So the first lesson is just sit down and sculpt something. Noses, ears, something that's
Sculpt
tough.
up something that has some anatomy that you can have reference for. Because if you're just like, I'm going to sculpt a monster, you can't say, oh well, this is right or this is wrong, because if it's in your head,
Right.
there's no way to check it. I can't give you an honest criticism if there's no reference to check it against. So if I say sculpt an ear, if your ear doesn't look like that, I can say that is wrong and that's why. So sculpt something that's like, that you can check against, and that way, you know, it's just easier to figure out what you're doing right or wrong.
Well, and look at it from all sides. Like, it's not just, it's that, and it's that, and it's that, and it's that. So.
Yeah. And, you know, we've done plenty of videos on how to do little life casts and molds and stuff like that. Get a friend of yours and just mold their ear.
I mean,
you know,
we talked about, you and Norm showed how to mold a hand.
Hands are really complicated things to sculpt.
Yeah, I mean, really start with a thumb. Make a thumbs up.
Yeah, a thumb is a tricky thing. It's not just a little sausage. It's got a lot of shapes and a lot of flat planes and
textures and stuff.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff, and that's what we're going to get into next.
Ooh.
The next thing we're going to get into is wrinkles and textures and how to make those things look realistic.
Okay, well,
Cool.
Thanks for watching, for you guys on YouTube, and thanks for supporting us, everyone on the site. We'll be back tomorrow on tested.com. We'll have links below as well if you want to follow along.
If you've looked at our premium videos in the past, we have a brand new premium video player. It's the same thing that a ton of other sites on the internet use so that the player works well. It works with things like AirPlay. It works on your tablet, on your phone, on the desktop. You can fast forward and rewind. All the stuff that was broken before is better. So if you've checked it out in the past and didn't like it, then you can go to tested.com/membership to get more information about signing up if you want to see the rest of the series. As always, thanks for supporting us, and we'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully. Bye.
Picasso!
Thanks, Frank, for coming by.